Hello, guys. It is I, Tharz here. We have
And
Bang and Shoot.
uh,
All right.
And if you guys want to talk about what this is supposed to be about, go ahead and give an introduction on that.
all right, so I've kind of been asking around the scene a couple of questions and been kind of like weirdly anonymous and telling people, hey, I'm like, ask me a question on four basic topics, and then they just asked me a random question. I told them I'm not going to answer it right now, but I'm going to answer it later, and this is me answering the questions. So the four topics that we're going to go over are adversity, improving, mindset, and training. Those are the four topics I chose.
Cool.
And for each of those, I have like maybe two, three. I think maybe one on one of these. I forgot which one though. Um, so do you guys just want to get right into it?
Yep.
Yeah,
Ooh,
let's go ahead and
adversity.
jump straight into it with the first one.
Which one do you guys want to start with? I'm
Let's-
thinking mindset. That's always a good place to start.
Always a good place. Let's go ahead.
And all these are kind of connected in my eyes. We're gonna start out with a nice simple question from the one, the only Sane, that says, "What makes a good mindset?"
What makes a good mindset? Being aware of your mindset might be a good start.
I think that's a pretty broad question, and I think broad questions lead to like really specific answers a lot of the time. So I think this is a good question coming from Sane. My opinion is going into a match understanding that you can be confident in your abilities and that you're not going to magically become better during one set. So bringing the talents that you have or have been like practicing into a match and just doing like a showcase of what skills you bring to the table and going from there with the most confidence you can have that you can beat anyone, it doesn't matter who you're playing, is important.
Okay. Can we give a couple examples of what a good mindset is compared to a bad mindset?
I would say one of the biggest mentalities is just to always know that you have a shot at winning, especially in a game that's not super consistent. With two stocks, you can always make a comeback regardless. Things happen.
I think me versus Shu is a good example of that. Like, I'll be ahead by a lot, but Shu will grab me at 20 and I'll lose. But I understand that. Like, especially now, like it's like this is part of the game, and the reason I was able to kick his butt previously is because his character has this ability to jank me out at the end of games. So when people like are upset because of jank, this is a janky game. It's a game you chose to play, and it's a game you chose to put money into to showcase your skills. So I think just understanding that and understanding that even if someone is better than you, sticking to your guns and understanding that it doesn't matter how much better they are than you. If you're able to do what you can do on like even just a bot, then you can win. Like there is always room for victory. Like I hate to say it, but I took a game off of Zero, who's the best player in the world. But during the whole time, I thought like I can do this. This is something that I'm able to do if I press the right buttons at the right time, and I did for one game. And like I kind of got smacked a little bit in between, but like I was able to do it for one game, even though he's far superior than me.
And I can say the same when I fought JK. I definitely got him early a few times, and that was my entire goal was knowing I get one grab, a couple up airs, and he's off the top at 30. So regardless of how good he is, I just had to make him react the way I wanted to a couple times, and so I knew I was always in it. And not every character has that, but you still can always make that comeback if you're just keep your head in the game, regardless of how far down you are.
Okay. And then let's talk about what are some bad mindsets to have. Like, what are the do's and don'ts? Like, what are the don'ts?
I Colorado Smashing, for example, I think of two don'ts, and the two don'ts are as follows: if someone sandbags you at a weekly and you beat them, sweet. You were able to beat them even though they probably have a higher skill cap than you. I'm not going to use any examples, but I'm sure everyone can think of something. Um, Thinking that you're a god or you're better than them because you beat them once is not good. A mindset requires consistency. And if you don't have that and you think, like if I quit now, like I took a game off Zero and make that my Twitter avy and then just like dip out of the scene, like
Mm.
kind of a like negative egotistical mindset is that. I think even like the best Smash players are like ego, like they have their ego, but it's because they can one back it up and two understand like the hate and the disrespect. Like there's some people in this scene, like Sane for example, who can get a lot of crap, but just like understanding not why you're giving the crap, but just go through it and become better because of it. Like even last FGF, we saw him doing some just rolling through the crap is what's going to make you better.
Okay.
Yeah, and always saying, even though I'll use Bang as an example. Bang plays secondaries. You beat his secondaries. Sure, you may not think you're beating Bang, but you still have to beat it regardless. You're still learning. You're still improving, even from his other characters. Since people have very good neutrals with different characters, it's good to learn every possible matchup you can. So just thinking that just because Bang's Mario, or I go Cloud, or something random, um, there's still something to learn in every match.
Yeah,
So,
and make them pay.
yeah.
That's how I look at it. Is I'm like, you don't get to do this to me. Like Zero took a break after he was like, "Are you going Diddy?" I'm like, dude, is he gonna pull out like persistent blade on me? Because I'm gonna slap him. Like, but the second point that I was getting to, and I think this is actually more important, even at big tournaments, I'll do this, and sometimes it helps, but sometimes it really hurts me. Where I'm like, I play so and so next, and you like kind of already give yourself the L before it even begins. Like I play Zero next, and then I start thinking about losers, right? So like when people are like, I play Bang next, or someone, not gonna say any names again, sure everyone can think of someone. But I play this person next. I need to be seated better at these tournaments because like this isn't fair. I think the good majority of FGF, like we get consistently like decent players. And there's like a consistent decent 20. So you should expect to play one of these 20 every single week. And until you beat them, then you don't deserve anything.
Okay.
So it's a kind of fighting for your spot within a state, within a region, wherever you are. It's just understanding that you don't deserve anything unless you earn it.
I like
Yep.
that. I like ending on that note too. Um,
Which brings me into the next question, which I think is actually a really good one from ER17, the Texas homie, who says, how do you keep a level head throughout the set? Because I think we were talking about like mindset as a whole, but like in game, I feel like it's a lot different.
mhm.
So in terms of keeping a level head throughout the set, I think it's that same idea though of always thinking you have a shot because of the jank in the game, or because it's a game that you chose to play. You put time into it, so knowing that all that time and practice you put in, there's stuff you can pull out every single match. You'll hit your opponent with some random combo, and if you just keep that pressure going, you'll be able to get it. And just knowing your practice is paying off as you keep playing.
And that understanding that even when you're down, you're never out.
Yeah.
It's like this game is very janky, and everyone should at some point, I guess, gotten like a 0 to death, right? So understanding that if you're down even a full stock or they've lapped you in percent, understand that you can bring it back if you play how you want to play. No matter how many mistakes you've made previously, that you can bring it back. Like comebacks are not like a rare thing. Like you shouldn't be surprised in a 2-stock meta if you're able to make a comeback.
That is true.
So I would say that's probably the biggest thing, is knowing the comeback potential is there.
Do you guys want to stick to mindset or should we move to another one? I think we should move to another.
Probably move
Let's
on
do
to
it.
the next one.
Okay, I think what goes with mindset is adversity, like I was talking about, is kind of like earning your spot. So I'm gonna go there. Ooh, we got some really good questions. The first one comes from the generic rhyme, which is a long question, so bear with me. He says, I find that when what I thought to be helpful in most matchups isn't in specific ones, my entire game plan falls apart. I know what needs to be done against the character, but how do I keep my mental composure when it gets shaken by things going wrong? I think that's another really good question, and that makes me think of like whenever I play a Zero Suit Samus, I treat each one like their shoe to start, because a lot of the time I'm not going to know what they're going to pull out or their bag of tricks, but everyone has their own bag of tricks. Not any two players are going to play similarly, so I think just understanding the basics, like what stage am I going to take this character to, or what does this particular character or player continue to do? Like for example, when I first played Rhyme, he would just shoot projectiles at me, and I would not know what a Robin was or what the Robin was doing. And I was like, I don't know. Like I keep shielding, and he keeps punishing me for shielding. So then I started jumping every single time whenever he would shoot something at me, and then I started winning. And I was like, okay, jumping's the answer. And until they make it so jump is a bad idea in your mind, you keep jumping. Like we were just looking at me versus Zero. We were just like going over it, and he jumped every time until I punished him. So don't respect them until they give you a reason to respect them.
Okay.
And going along with that, in terms of if your game plan is falling apart, then use that game to figure out why it fell apart more so. Because sometimes your plan going in falls apart. Mine versus Larry fell apart when he's like, I only dealt 20%, and I dealt that twice, so I maybe dealt 40% with Zero Suit. I was like, okay, this plan is not working. I cannot figure it out right now. I'm gonna switch up the way I'm playing, switching characters, but I just wanted to see what different characters' options are and what makes Larry think. And I figured more of it out. I needed to jab more on the ground. I needed to up tilt, and I just needed to do different things than how I normally play Zero Suit. But I didn't figure that out until really late in the game because he's super top. But being able to figure that out mid game would be really helpful because then you can both look at your next game
Mm-hmm.
and future sets going forward.
I think that when adapting, like as a whole, gets brought up, people find it as this like impossible thing or like a complete download. There's like no in between. But like when I think of adapting, first of all, it's really tough to adapt mid game
Yeah.
because you go into that game, you're like, this is my plan, and if that plan doesn't work, then you might lose the first game. But that's why you play sets and not games because it's a battle of the minds. So after you lose that first game or even mid game, if you find one thing, like it's even one thing like in change a set, like I told you, jumping. Like just the fact that if you jump, you could win mid game, that might help. And stuff that is that simple could win you sets and like really give you an advantage over a certain player. But like game to game, take a second, understand why you lost. Just don't just go back in and start pressing as many buttons as you can and be like, if I press my buttons faster, I'm gonna win. You have to understand why you just lost. Like, what were the ways he killed you? Like, did he forward smash you? Did he back throw you at the ledge? Why were you at the ledge? Things like that. It's like, okay, I'm not gonna be by the ledge at kill percent, or I'm not gonna do like smash attacks on shield because then he grabs me, and things like that. Like understanding just what to do at kill percent, what to do at early percent, and what like your game plan should be consistently be changing, and you understand why you're doing it.
And I'll use my example. When I flip kick and I nared a flip kick and you air dodge, guess what? You die.
Nerd flip kick's true. I don't want to hear it.
Well, nair to flip kick sometimes is true, but then the air dodge even when it's not true. Or anything where even if I can get an air dodge, like the up air to flip kick, if I do that 2 or 3 times, they should realize, oh, he's going for that consistently. Switch up what you're doing. And I think just figuring out what the player likes to do consistently and finding a way out of it is just helpful. So.
Okay. Yeah, I can give kind of like an example here. Even when I play Bang in friendlies, I mean I don't really play this game as much as others, but I feel like when I play against Diddy Kong, I just don't know what to do against Banana. So when we play friendlies, it seems like it's practically free. Uh, Whenever you throw a banana at me, because I don't know my options. But afterwards, after like the matches, and I think where I'm at now, I would think of all the different options of what you can do when Diddy has a banana in your shielding. And so using that to adapt um, can then
I think I know what you're saying. You
Yeah.
can bring it next week. Like, there's a reason they're called weeklies. It doesn't. It happens every week, so you have a week to prepare. And I know we're busy and everything, but you can still think. Like even when I was working, like I don't know, 35, 40 hours a week, all I was doing is just thinking. Like I'd be doing my job, maybe I don't want to say half-assed, but still, and I'd just be thinking. I'm like, why did I lose? Like I lost to Gay. Why did I lose to Gay? What stages did I go to? Why didn't that combo work? And you just think. Like it doesn't take a lot of brain power to think about
Mhm.
the decisions that you made and the result that you got, because those things are linked.
And I would say even beyond just thinking about your games, theory crafting as to what you want to do.
Mhm.
And with Diddy specifically, and the banana issue is, do you want to grab the banana from him? Is your character's throw even worth grabbing the banana?
Mhm.
Or do you just want to grab it and throw it away? Like some characters, I'll use Wii Fit, have terrible throws. Just absolutely awful banana throws. Or item throws in general. So they never want the banana. Some characters like Zero Suit have potential to use the banana in nice ways. So it's, does your character want to use the banana? And if so, one, how are you going to take it? And two, where do you want to go when he has the banana to bait out the banana.
And that's just one character in this game with what, 56?
Yeah, and that's just one matchup that we're thinking hard because of the banana.
You got to start somewhere. So like if it is Diddy that you start with, then go from there. Like if I was, who's someone to see, Sane or Fluff, let's just say, and I was like, well, which matchup should I learn? Okay, the number one's Diddy, the number two is Zero Suit. You're probably gonna play them at some point. Maybe start to learn that matchup. The number three is Samus. The number four is Mario. So even this, like, Pink Menace doesn't go to a lot of weeklies, so you're not going to see him a lot. So maybe that's not the matchup you go for right away. Maybe you go to Smash on the Rocks and you play Big Red all the time. And you keep losing to Big Red, or you keep losing to Plat. Figure out Fox. Figure out Rob. Start somewhere. And then in figuring that out, you can start to punish other characters like Rob that are projectile heavy. So you're like, okay, I can do that against projectiles. Or against Fox, who's combo heavy and a fast follower. It's like, okay, my combos work like this against fast followers. And this is how I can get out of combos because I have a frame 3 nair. Different things like that will really help you.
Yeah.
Okay.
Did that make sense, Jay Sean?
Yes, it did.
All right, ready for this slick question coming in from the one, the only King, who says, what skill level do you think you were? Oh, that's a personal question. But I'm going to say it anyway. This is a two-parter. What skill level do you think you were at when you first started Smash 4? I'm just going to say Smash in general so we can all answer this question. Jason, you want to start?
So we're going to each answer the question individually?
Yeah, but you can answer it any way you want. So you could use it for PM even, or you can go to Smash 4 either way.
I can explain my first PM match against an actual player who played PM. And his name was Ace. If you guys know about the melee scene or the PM scene back in the day, before Smash 4 even came out, Ace was like the number one, or was one of the number one Falcon mains in Colorado. And so
no John.
No Johns. And this is the John. This is the
John.
I know. But I ran a random PM tournament at ATA. He showed up. It was me and him in grand finals, and he just destroyed me. Just
you made it to grand finals in your first weekly?
Yeah.
All right, well.
But that makes me think about my actual skill level, because no one else that was there even knew what Colorado Smash was, or even knew the amount of information that Ace knew. So I'm going to say, starting off, and still to this point, I feel like I am trash at Smash.
Even PM?
Even PM. I look back at my videos, and I just see all the mistakes. I was never thinking. That's the thing I like about Smash 4. This game makes you think. I go back and play people in, like, Melee, and I get close games with them because the thought process that I have that was developed through Smash 4 carries over to Melee and carries over to Project M, which is really nice.
Okay. That's a great point.
So I want to say playing Smash 4 gives you an advantage in like outthinking your opponent, pretty much is what I want to say, or recognizing patterns and what your opponent is doing. It makes you think more. Because I'm telling you, I've been playing against some people in friendlies for Melee and PM and stuff, and they'll do like the same thing on my shield 3 times, or the same option every time. And these are multiple people doing the same thing. And I'm just like, well, that's easy to punish, but since I don't play this game, I can't move.
Yeah, I feel you there.
But yeah, I honestly feel like I'm trash, and I'm still trash. Just because I don't have I don't have a way to play the game besides going out to my workplace or going to like a weekly or something to play. And yeah, there's that.
I'd love to talk to you about that because, like, I feel like there's definitely other avenues if you wanted to, which I don't think that you want to necessarily be a god at Smash. Like, that's not necessarily an avenue that you want. But if you did, there could be more things that you could do. Mm-hmm. Whether it be going to people's houses or different things like that.
Yeah, I mean, the options are there. Like, I can get better if I wanted to. It's just time, and I have so many other games to play, unfortunately.
And your goals are a little bit different.
Mm-hmm.
Shu, your turn.
Yeah, so first tournament, I guess, where I started with 3DS days. Won a Chiba Hut tournament and got a sandwich. But
Delicious.
3DS days are great.
Delicious.
But that was only one tournament that I did with that. Then I went to Rev, and it was the one with M2K there and Axe for Melee, and that was the first tournament that I went to. And I went there and got bodied by M2K, Mewtwo
Wait,
King.
you said Rev 2, right?
I think it's Rev 2. I don't. The one with custom moves.
Yeah, that was Rev 2 with Steam beating MTK, right?
Yeah. So
I was actually in PM that day.
yeah, I had to play M2K round 2. I had to play Athene round 1, Kami-sama at the time, and I guess Kami-sama now. So I beat Athene, lost to M2K, and then I made it out of pools. But then I didn't go to day 2 because I didn't want to go all the way back down from Greeley to Denver to lose right away, especially since it was my first tournament, and my ride had lost, so he didn't want to go down either. So I just dropped out. So that was my first tourney. And then I disappeared for probably like 4 or 5 months. But then after that, seeing that and then learning more about the scene, I got back into it. And then I ran into Boss Stage Arcade, went there pretty much every week for a solid 6-7 months. Ran into X, Early Bang. Then I got to Winter Showdown, and I would say that was when I started finally improving. Because I got 3rd there.
I thought that's where I saw you first time is Winter Showdown.
That might have been the first time you saw me, but I went to Boss Stage before that.
Yeah.
That's how I knew about the tournament. So, Winter Showdown was probably the first time that I actually felt improvement, because I got 3rd there, losing to Haku and Mr. Doom. So, and that's when I thought, okay, I can actually take this game somewhat competitively. And then from there, it's just been a slow climb, I would say.
Do you think your climbs ever stopped?
No.
No?
No, I think I've continually gotten...
Even like by small increments?
Yeah, there's always something to jump. Like, even from DreamHack to now, there's some small jump that I feel. And so every tournament, I feel like there's something small to take away. Sometimes it doesn't work, and I'm like, oh, maybe this is a step back. But even in a step back, you still learn something to go forward.
That's deep.
So, yeah.
That's a life lesson right there.
There you
Screw
go.
Smash. Anyway, so what skill level was I when I started? I would say I was not like trash tier, but like definitely low.
You were low.
Oh yeah, I was low, but I definitely wasn't like incapable.
No.
Just my buttons were not right. And I think early on, because I think of Diddy as like a noob killer for the most part. No offense, Jay Sean, but like Banana can carry you if they don't know what they're doing, and most people in this scene didn't know what Diddy was. Just like you were saying, like you didn't know what Diddy was, and even in friendlies, like I could get away with things that like people couldn't understand until later. But by that later point, I had been playing better people, so I had already been getting better, and I had been adapting to the fact that my other strategies wouldn't work. So, to answer your question short, I would say I started low, but I was able to work up to medium pretty quick, and then high took a bit longer. I would say right around the time maybe X left, maybe a couple months later, and then I'm even higher now. But yeah.
Let's be honest though. Is there anyone that just straight out the gate started playing Smash and was just so good at it?
I mean, I'm sure there are people that were, like, naturally just good.
I think Jesus is one of those people. I think
Yeah.
that's a good example. Like, if you look, like, just picture a graph, right?
Mm-hmm.
If me and Shu, let's say me and Shu started around the same.
Sure.
We're, like, both at a 3 at the start. Jesus probably was at, like, a 5. If we're going out of 10, why not?
Yeah.
He's at a 5, but he only got to, like, a 6 or a 7, let's say. This is all hypothetical. But he definitely had he was more in it. Same with Fabian. They were both kind of like they would play each other a lot, but they started higher. He won the first tournament he went to. He kept winning a bunch of tournaments after that. But then, like, me and Shu started at, like, 3, and then we ended up at, like, 7 or 8. But it took a bit longer. It took fighting someone like Jesus, who started off better than us.
Mm-hmm. Which is a good point, because everyone learns differently.
Yeah. And, like, even if you start, like, horribly, like, I agree with Shu. Like, I don't think at any point I've ever gotten worse. At worst, maybe I've stayed the same, but I feel like I've been continuously getting better from the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, don't be... People learn at different levels, like you said. Like, you know, even if you started at 1, and then it takes you a year to get to 2, who knows what could happen in that next year.
And I would say there's portions where as you get the game and you start understanding, you'll have moments where you rapidly increase. Like, you learn one new thing, and all of a sudden your whole entire mentality on the game changes.
Hmm.
Oh, power shielding, all these moves does some wonders, and now all of a sudden you've got all these new options, and you see your gameplay just increase a lot. So, and we can say power shielding feels is important, but until you feel it and you like do it consistently, you don't realize how much. So
I remember when I like first joined, I like played JFK and everyone was like, dude, if you just perfect shield the fares every time, you're gonna be fine. I'm like, hypothetically, you're right, but I'm not gonna do that.
yeah,
I hated that. Just yeah. Okay, this is actually a 3-part question now that I'm looking at it. So let's see the next one. How long did it take you to be where you are today? I think we kind of just went over that.
yeah.
I think it takes everyone a different amount of time, but for me, I felt like when I started in January of 2016, I improved pretty rapidly up until like the beginning of April, and then like it was more gradual. And then when X left, I improved rapidly for a little bit because I went out of state, and some different things happened, and then like more gradual, and then somewhat recently, maybe a little bit ago, rapidly, and then now I'm probably back to gradual.
I would say I was getting up there the moment before X left, because X was kind of like the demon that I kept taking down for everybody, and that's where I felt like, oh, I feel the jump happening. And then going out of state was definitely the biggest jump. Like that whole summer of Nexus, Low Tier City, Evo. I feel like there's one more that I'm missing, but I feel like there's one more somewhere. But yeah, that jump, like playing the people all the time, going even at the hotel rooms, playing the people there, all that time was just that was where I improved the fastest.
And the last part of his question is, do you feel like it took you a long time? No.
A year,
It took me, what, 9 months?
9 months.
No, 8? 8 months? Which might sound cocky, but it took me 8 months to get number 1. And in Statelet, everyone does say that, like, you know, oh, Colorado's free. But after how we performed at DreamHack, I don't think people think that as much anymore, which is nice.
Yeah.
But, I mean, we're not a state known for Smash per se, but I do think that it was pretty fast. And I think part of that is because the scene, like, isn't super strong, like a SoCal. Like, if I started out in SoCal, I don't know if I'd even be close to where I am now, because Colorado allowed me to play people who were at my low level to start. And then once I started beating them, I was almost immediately into playing the best people in the state, which made me adapt to the best play styles in the state and made me think way faster and way more.
I think the barrier in Colorado isn't as daunting to get on. Like SoCal, it's daunting to get on their PR. And even if we were to go there now, we'd probably make it, but it would be difficult compared to here, where it's not going to say easier, but definitely not as deep in terms of characters and players.
What number would you be on the SoCal PR shoe?
I would say 13 or 14.
13 or 14? I'm looking it up.
I've beaten 15 and 17, I think, or 15 and something. I think it's 15. But I think if you gave both of us at least one season to train in SoCal, I think we would make top 15. One full season in SoCal.
Hypothetically, though, that's easy to say.
That's hypothetically, but there's also a huge playstyle difference in SoCal. I will say.
Oh yeah.
Colorado, we like hype, we like aggro. We don't have as much patience. SoCal, they'll time you out every single match in a friendly, and that was just a different playstyle that I noticed when I went there, and it's a good playstyle to learn. So I would say that a solid year, I would feel like, is where you should at least notice some improvements. And I think everybody can say they've noticed some improvements. The hard part is there's other people improving around you. So you got to keep up with them, too. And surpass them, realistically. So. All right.
Oh, dang it. Okay. I'll look that up later. So that's all the questions I have for adversity. And I think adversity is a good topic that goes hand in hand with mindset, like I was saying, because without one, you really can't take on the other one. And we talked about like mid-match mindset, but I think it is more important to get outside Smash mindset, where understanding like what you can do. Okay.
Pop that one.
Some like things like that.
Okay, that's hard.
All right, we're looking at the PR now. She was regretting his decision.
Top 20.
Who made you change your mind?
We looked it up.
Con is 15 on it. So,
Dude, I don't know. AC's 18, and that guy's good.
I mean, I've beaten 17 and I've beaten 20. Javi's there, but I don't know if that's just
He's
honorary.
HM. Yeah. He'd
So-
probably, if I had to put Javi on this, I'd put him at 4.
Yeah. So, but yeah, no, I mean, I still think we would be on it
I'd be on.
because they do top 20 for SoCal because they have that many people. That's why I think Colorado's a little bit more tight. There's not as many people, but it's a good barrier and a good mix of players. There's not a crazy high ceiling, but there's not a crazy low one.
All right, Jason, you ready to pick the next topic?
What's up?
Do you want to pick the next topic? Also, do you want to keep going?
I'm supposed to come up with a topic. I thought you had.
No. I'm gonna give you 2. But do you want to like keep going, or is this too long? I don't know. I don't know how these things work.
We can keep going.
All right.
We could cut it down too into multiple videos.
All right. Okay. These sound similar, but they're different. Improving or training?
You said improvement or training, and those are the 2 topics I have.
Yes.
Let's see. I feel like doing training first would make more sense. Training first and then improvement.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. We got
let's
2
go.
questions for training, and they come from Brax. The first one. Another simple question: what should I do to train? Another broad question for Schumann to answer. Let's go, Shu.
So, from my experience in training, especially during that rise period, I would say where I grew the most.
Actually, whoa. Before Shu says anything, Jay-Shun, did you ever train in PM or Smash 4?
And not so much. Sorry, not so much Smash 4, but PM. I was training wrong. I was training, but I was training wrong.
Explain.
All I would focus on, and this is not just for Smash, but for multiple games, combos. Like, yeah, combos can get you far into the game, but if you can't even play the neutral right, then you're not going to be able to even get to that point where you can use that combo correctly. So like a lot of the time with Charizard can kill off the top, and I would use certain moves to try to get there, but all I would do is practically spam one move until someone just decides to walk into it, and that's how I would combo. But that is how I started comboing, and if I ever start practicing again, I would practice things that you would be using all the time. So like, I feel like in Colorado we don't do enough of ledge trumping. Like I can watch people play on the stream and see like perfect opportunities to ledge trump where they probably could have gotten the kill off of that ledge trump too. But
There's only like 3 or 4 people that even ledge trump. Plastic Mac, Night Money, Shu, but I only think Shu does it because he has a tether and it's easy.
Yes.
I don't do it for the most part,
No.
but that's another topic.
I've tried
can't
ledge
think of
jumping with
another one.
Diddy. It's just I do side B, and it's
That's
terrible.
slow.
It's terrible.
But you're right. Like even just simple things like that.
Mhm.
And I think literally everyone at some point, or it's just like I just need to lab combos, but that's really not all. And when people say lab, they think you're just in training mode the whole time. But I think okay, when you're in the lab, you are in training mode the whole time. But when you're training, you're not in training mode the whole time. You could be watching videos. You could be, like watching videos of old sets, videos of people who are great with your character. I got lucky and had 0, so that was like really nice. And like just understanding certain matchups through videos. I think videos are a very big piece that I don't think people know how to utilize properly. Training mode, like for a little bit, like around Odyssey time, and a little bit now, not as much because I haven't had a lot of time, but I've been doing like daily training. But majority of my daily training is movement. It is not combos. I literally don't even really practice combos because when I first started, that's really all I did, and I ironed them out. And I understand that I can hit that now, but I shouldn't waste my time on that. When I have free time, I need to work on movement. And understanding that even like the silly things that like you shouldn't do with like any character like ever. Like I can't think of an example. Like when Sandfish does a B reverse with the pocket, it looks cool because he gets a little bit of invincibility too. But like just being able to do that. I'm not saying it's completely useless, but just understanding every way that your character has the ability to move is important.
Hmm.
Not necessarily doing it every time, but just understanding what he can do or she.
Or she. And I guess with the she part, there's like my character. There's a lot of gimmicks that my character has. It has, up air to upbeat or flip kick. And I would say that I do the same thing as Bang. I watch videos, especially on top players, and I look for one combo or one trick that I want to learn from them. And learn that combo or trick, which is usually up air, flip kick for me. And then I just kind of move on to movement, I would say. Flip kick edge canceling would be a thing. For me, it was trumping. Just side being at ledge, figuring out why when I side B sometimes it just doesn't work. I hear Toon Link complain about the Zare glitch. There's reasons that it happens. There's conditions that you got to figure out when is this most likely going to happen to me, so that I don't accidentally Zare glitch in the middle of a set. Sometimes it happens and it's just kind of random, but I've noticed that there are conditions that usually are set, whether it's getting hit and then you can't Zare to a ledge or something. And so learning those types of things.
I also think there's too much training. Like people just like
Press buttons.
play by themselves for too long and then get into bad habits. Once I start feeling like I'm too tired to think or bad habits start coming in, I try to stop playing.
Yeah.
Like I really do because I think it's detrimental. And I was thinking about this today. Like you think of all the top players in Smash 4, this isn't their first Smash game. Like
Yeah,
Zero,
definitely not.
he played Melee, he played PM, he played Brawl, and he was decent in all those, and then he became the best in this new version. But it's time, like sometimes you just got to sit back and understand it. Like I said earlier, people grow at different times, and it's going to take you a while to get there. But there are things that you can do to speed up the process. And sitting back and doing nothing is bad, but going so hard that you get into bad habits and don't understand neutral is horrible.
Yeah, I had moments where I was trying way too much to do too many complicated things with ZSS that I started kind of a downward play for a while. So it's like I need to do all these tricks, and it's like no, just be basic and play neutral. You don't have to do all these fancy tricks. Like I think if I think of a player right now that has a lot of great combos, it's Ziggsby. He's got really sweet, sick kind of combos with his Nair footstools and his disables and all those sorts of things. But it's learning when you want to use those. And I think if that's your one gimmick, once they know that, they just won't let you do it. So having a solid fundamental base is much more important. Like even just playing classic mode and making sure you can hit them consistently. And
I don't know about that.
I like being able to move around. Like yeah, the damage percentages are off and all that, but just hitting characters, especially playing like even multiple like 3v1s, just to hit people away, I think is useful.
I mean, how I start off my training or like warming up before a day, I just put a CPU, make them walk, and then just space back airs. Hit the tippity tip of my back air. And then like literally like the balloon on Smashville, I try to hit the tippity tip of my back air on the balloon. And when I do that consistently, then I'm like, all right, now I'm going to move on to different things. But like just things like that, like understanding spacing, movement, other things. That you can train these things. And it's tough to understand how to train. It's really tough to understand how to train. I don't think people, it's because when people think training, like we said earlier, it's combos, but it's really not. Like, just move around. Like, look up tutorial videos of your character and watch the other guys do it. And I remember watching Diddy do a couple like B reverse things, and I can only do some of them. But then I was like, okay, I need to sit down and do all of them. Like, I need to be able to do them consistently. Not like, oh, I hit it once, but you try to hit it 3 times that way and then 3 times that way. And then once you get it down, then you're good. And it's frustrating. It can be really frustrating sometimes. And I'm like, okay, I do like pop gun cancel, monkey flip, B reverse, and I try to like do tracking back airs with the CPU. And then like I try to make the CPU short, and then like I mess up one, then I have to restart. And it's really frustrating. But
yeah.
Wasn't there a training mod that just came out here recently?
yes. So Night Money actually came over to my house and showed me that training mod. I don't know what it's called, but he was like, you really need to get this. I forgot what it's called, but it's like a $6 or $7 thing. If you're listening to this, ask Night Money. He will hook you up. But it's really good because it'll help you ledge trap, and I think that's an important tool. It's almost impossible to practice on your own. So I think that is something that is very helpful. Um, but yeah, that training mod looks really good.
And I will say, as my training thing, for a while, especially when Avian was beating me with Pikachu, I was pissed off at short characters because Zero Suit can't reach that low. So I spent solid 30 minutes to an hour. We went to my grandparents, and I just set up Pikachu, set him on the stage, and I was like, I'm gonna nair you over and over and over again just to keep that low spacing nair. And now I'm pretty consistent with getting those low spacing nairs, and it turns out that there's less lag really after it, so I have time to react.
React jab.
So
Yeah, I mean,
would there be a scenario where you're not playing against a short character, but you still want to do the lower nair?
Oh
Is
yeah,
that just always better?
like Ganondorf or like Bowser versus like Kirby or Jigglypuff. If you can hit a Kirby or Jigglypuff with a back air, you're definitely going to be able to hit a Bowser or a Ganon with a back air. But like understanding that Bowser's grab range is way farther than maybe you won't want to hit that back air is something entirely different. But
well, and even hitting low, if I hit, let's say, Bowser high on shield, right, he has time to grab me out of it before I even hit the ground. So I definitely want to hit lower to the ground so that I'm able to jab out of it. Really do have a fast jab. So hitting low to the ground makes it so that they don't have enough time to punish me for my nair. As easily, I should say. So hitting them high would make it much easier to grab. Or anything, really.
Okay.
So.
all right, sweet. Hope that answers your question, Brax. Next question comes from Freddie Aguilar. What is he on PR? Is he 8 or 9? We're gonna go with 9.
We're gonna check. I'll check.
No, he's 8. 8. Bet. Anyway.
He's actually 9, so you would have lost that bet.
Anyway, wait.
That's the old PR.
Shoot with the old PR banner. Okay, anyway. He asks, how do you think training should be approached, and how so on a different levels of play? So low, mid, high, and top. So I don't think Freddie took this from me, but I have a, I don't know how I would say it, but a way of looking at things where, in terms of players, where you stack. So I put 4 or is it 5? 4 or 5. Let's just say 5. 5 levels of play. So this isn't like necessarily to do with training, but it gets there. So on the bottom,
Be
you
right
have.
back. Continue talking though.
All right. We have trash, which is like people that are either just beginning or do not understand the game
Or
almost
don't
in
care.
the slightest, or don't care.
Just
That's
want
good.
to play the game to play the game.
Then we have medium. Actually, instead of trash, let's say low because that's nice. Low.
Okay.
And in low, there are 3 levels. There is low, medium, and high. And that's the same for every single one. So I try to like put people on this spectrum. So then we have oh wait, no, there is trash. Okay, trash and then low. Okay, it's the same thing. So trash, you could be trash low, trash medium, trash high. And then once you graduate from that, then you go to low, low, low medium, low high. And then from there you go to medium. Now medium has the same 3 graded spectrum that you're on. And I would say medium is more of a player that's really starting to get a hang on things. Hasn't been playing the game for too long, but long enough to understand a broad amount of knowledge in the game. And really start to press buttons the correct way and understand neutral and things like that. And then we have high, which I think I'm a part of this. Only a select few in Colorado are. But this is when you really start to like, I don't want to say make a name, but be able to compete against people with names. So that can mean beating or even doing well against like certain either high players or like top players, which is the last tier. But that also has the low, medium, and high. And I think that's when you really start to understand the game. You really have your fundamentals like down. Like you're not missing things that you shouldn't be missing. Every now and again, even the best players miss stuff, but you have it down and you understand what you want and when you want it. And then you have top, which there's still a low, medium, and high. And I would say for medium and up, that's the top 50 in the world. So you should be able to like, because Smash 4, like Jay Shun said, it's not like Melee. I like to think of Melee as the better you are at pressing buttons equates to basically how good you are at the game, which is kind of sad, but it's more in depth. So I'm not gonna like poop on Melee or anything. It's more in depth, but the top 50 in Smash 4, any of them can really beat anybody, right? But bearing it to me again. But Melee, like number 50 is not going to beat Armada. Like there's not a chance in the world that that's really going to happen. Like you could say hypothetically that it could happen, but it's not going to happen. And that's the beauty of Smash 4. But in those different ranges, I couldn't tell you how a top player practices. I couldn't. I could tell you how a low player practices, and that's doing combos because they haven't really started to grasp the neutral sense and like understand that there's more to the game than comboing. And the people at medium may still do combos and stuff like that, and may just have the experience from tournaments that they know the ins and outs and the do's and don'ts. But their training habits are a little bit better, but maybe still not the best. And when you get to high, that's when you start to understand that combos aren't what makes a good player good. It's movement, it's decision making, it's execution, and being able to execute at the right times in the right place against the right character, doing the right move, like on the right option, is something that sounds complicated, but can really be simplified as I'm going to back air, shoes, shield, so he can't jab me or grab me. Like understanding when to throw out moves is very important. And then, like I said, I don't know how a top player practices. I'm not there yet, but I assume that it's just repetition and consistency. Because I wouldn't say, for a little bit, I would say I practice consistently, like every single day. But recently, no. Like I have not. And when I do play, it's either in tournament or in friendlies, and that's not training for the most part.
Yeah. I feel like when you hit that high part, there's the gap between high and top, I think, is one, just the repetition in training and the time that you get into it. And two, I think it's just the execution part, like being able to execute whatever plan you make consistently. At high, you're able to start making those plans. At top, you're executing them. I think middle is a lot of Colorado. And I would say there's a lot of middle low that can beat middle highs in Colorado. But the difference here, I would say, is middle in Colorado is definitely, we understand the game plan. We understand characters. We see them. We play the games. We go to tourneys every week. But now it's what do we change? What do we do differently? And I think that's where the people on PR, the highs, start to make those changes. They'd say, oh, I kept doing this and it wasn't working. Okay, I'm going to implement this change just to see what happens. And then they slowly get to that higher level. But I would say, where would you put yourself? On the high low?
It's a secret.
High medium? I know where I'd put me.
Where would you put yourself?
High low.
That's where I have you.
That's where I would put it. and I have you on high medium, bordering on high high. Maybe after DreamHack and you getting a little bit better there, I'll give you the high high part. But I think that I'm high low, and I think I would put some of the PR members, probably 5, at high low with me, and then after that I would maybe put the rest at mid high.
That's fair. I mean, I think it's just a general understanding of the spectrum that can kind of help you understand where you're at and where you could be, and then understanding that going from low medium to high medium is way easier than going from low high to high high.
Well, and I would even say just going from low to medium is so much easier than high medium to high high.
Well, I think people are getting confused. But Jason, are you following?
I kind of joined in the middle, so
I would just categorize it. So we basically said there's trash, low, medium, high, and top tier.
And among all 5 of those tiers, there's low, medium, and high.
So like a 1, 2, 3.
So there's trash, low.
There's trash, and then there's
where
low.
I sit.
No, you're not trash, low. That's like
no, I wasn't
bad.
gonna say that. That was like that's gonna be like people who
probably
have never touched the game.
You won't say a name.
Because no one in Colorado is trash low.
Yeah, I don't think anyone.
No,
it takes a special someone to be trash low.
Like, yeah, I'm not even gonna say anything, but continue.
Yeah, but I wouldn't even put even our lowest people that go 0-2. I wouldn't even put them at that trash.
And I think if you consistently go 0-2, I get this question a lot too. It's a little bit off the topic, but when people ask me like, or when I even just think about it, like, why did I keep entering tournaments if I kept losing? Like, why did I continue to throw away money?
Because the game's fun.
the game is fun and the environment's more fun, but that's another topic entirely. But I think the reason is I kind of saw it as an investment because when I went to my first tournament, I didn't even have a Wii U yet, so it was the first time playing the game. So I had to make a decision: is spending like $300 on a full setup worth? And I decided yes, and then obviously it paid off. But what was I going with it?
Going to weeklies and not winning.
Oh yeah. So like if you go to a weekly and let's say you go 0-2 every time, there if you want to get better, and I know some people that go 0-2 that don't want to get better and they really just go because they enjoy it. It's fun, and just sitting there and not being a part of it, not being a part of it is not fun. So if you go 0-2 and you want to get better, or you go 1-2 and you want to get better, or 2-2 even, just understand that there's something you need to fix.
Mm-hmm.
If it's not getting better, or like you keep losing the same people every single week, something in you has got to light up and be like, I'm done. I'm done with this.
And I think you have to look at every case differently too.
Yes, I agree.
Yeah, like there's some matchups that you could say, sure, they matter, but I would say that matchups, especially at the current level of Colorado, aren't the deciding factor. I think anybody can beat anybody with any character. It's just how do you go about doing that and accepting that, yeah, there may be some difficulties with your character in the matchup, but nobody's at that level where they're going to abuse every piece of a matchup to win.
I think that also kind of goes into counter picks. We're like talking about all sorts of stuff I think about. But like people ask me if counter picks are worth it. And I used to tell them no, and I still kind of stick by that answer. And I would say if you're below medium, the answer is no. The answer is you need to iron out things with your main before you even consider playing anyone else competitively. But if you're above medium, which is like Chu said, the majority of Colorado, I think there is some weight in counter picks. But the only reason I say there's some weight is because I believe it gets the meta going. And I think in Colorado there's a meta of its own. And if you start bringing out counter picks, like you remember when Shu beat me with that poopy ditty, and I was like, but yeah, and the Wii Fit for a game, like it worked, and I was like, okay, I need to expect this. And then literally for what was it, 2 weeks, we had a blind pick.
Yeah,
we blind picked, and that was like it wasn't anymore like Bang was gonna win everything. It was like Shu was tired. He was done, and he like really thought about it and was like, okay, could this work? And he didn't really tell me that he had a ditty. He just threw it out. And sometimes that's what you got to do. Like I see some people throwing out characters, but it seems like for no reason.
But the thing is,
you need to think out your counter pick before you do it.
And I put practice into Diddy too. There was time put into that Diddy Kong. Like, it wasn't a surprise to me to pull it out. It's not like I just went to the random button and found a character.
I still remember the highlight of that match too. That
I'm mad. I don't want to talk about it.
See, but I knew that there's certain things that I was like, these are stupid, but they're gonna work for a couple weeks.
Jay-Shun trashed me afterwards too.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, get out of my face, Jay-Shun. Oh, I was mad. But
hey man,
but
it made you want to learn that.
But even like
it did.
Even this last week, you know, at DreamHack we kind of had a realization that Diddy was hard. So I was like, okay, I'm gonna seriously try to pick up Cloud now because it was just playing Yoshi against Bayo was just rough. It was a sad life. Made me cry in a corner for a while. So I picked up Cloud and I've been playing Cloud just to kind of have a doubles Cloud. But then when I was in Grands, I was like, you know what? I'm gonna give it a try.
And it didn't do bad. It did not do that bad.
I SD'd because I forgot to not hit up B twice. And I was like, well, okay, lesson learned, not doing that again. But it was still good.
And it's fine to experiment too. Like, especially when you're in that zone, like, it's not that high pressure of a situation at FGF for the most part. So, like, you putting yourself out there and being like, okay, I've been playing with this person or this character. Like, let's say you've been playing with Rosa and it's been feeling good. And, like, you've really been starting to get the movement down. Maybe Rosa's not the best example because she's a little complicated. But, like, let's just say it feels right. And then you really start, like, feeling her out and, like, taking sets off people. And you're like, okay, Rosa has a good matchup spread because she does. And you start beating, like, let's say you keep losing to Big Red. And that Rosa's finally able to take out Big Red. Then you're like, all right, so either he has to adapt to my Rosa or I'm not switching. And then maybe when he adapts to your Rosa, your, I don't know, let's say Fox has improved so much that he's not ready for the Fox either. So then it's that constant back and forth, and then people adapt, and then they finally raise to the same level. And then once they get there, they rise together because they keep trying to beat each other. So there needs to be a competitiveness. There needs to be a hunger in order to grow.
I will say for me, Athene was my partner that I caught up to. and then ultimately we grew together for a while.
Dude, same.
And then I was like, all right, I want to be the best zero student in Colorado. It was my original start. So I was like, I'm going to be the thing. And eventually I got to that point where I felt like I surpassed him, but I took all his tricks. I took everything that he showed me. It's like, all right, I'm doing this.
It was me and Night Money, dude. I felt the same way. I money matched him and he beat me game 5. And I was like, wow, he does all that. And he helped me a lot at the beginning. And even a little bit now maybe still helps me. But you learn from other people. And I forgot, I think it was Izar or someone who said something that, oh no, it was like a Bruce Lee quote where like if you follow or do the exact same thing as somebody else, you will never be better than them at their own game.
Yep.
But it's a matter of climbing that ladder. So like let's just say hypothetically, I get as good as Knight, and then I get as good as JJ Rockets, and then I get as good as Dyer, and then I get as good as MVD, and then Zero. And it's like, okay, I was able to climb that ladder, and now that I'm hypothetically as good as Zero, then I need to switch. I need to make it my play style. And like I should have been developing my meta during this time. And now it's a mixture of the efficiency of Zero and then the sporadic, erratic play style of Bang. It's not just I'm a mimic of Zero.
Yeah, because if you're mimicking people, one, they can figure that out.
And two, other people are going to adapt to Zero and then they know how to beat you.
Yeah. So, like, I get compliments on, like, oh, you have a very Mars-esque playstyle where you read them. You try to read them hard. But then I'm also very solid and neutral, more so. I need to work on that and choose better options, but my Nair game is solid and I know my combos to follow. So that's there's my own trick. And the air dodge reads and the footstool stuff, MVD laughed when I did the footstool to him. He's like, that I've never seen anybody do that before. I was like, yeah, I know, it's mine. And he's like, can you DI out of it? I was like, yeah, you can. And he's like, oh, okay. Well, that's a nice trick, though, to catch him once. And just doing your own thing every once in a while will get some people off guard.
Yeah, my thing was the down throw down air, and that was like a thing for a little bit, and it really worked. And then people adapted, and it's like, okay, now there's a part of someone's mind that understands that is something I do, and that is something that character is capable of, and they don't want to get hit by it anymore.
And now you make your opponent think even more.
Yes.
So
think, people.
Think.
It's time. All right, we're moving on to improving. And we have 2 questions here as well. And the first one is from, once again, Barax Road, who says, with your goals and ambitions, how are you improving while staying here? I think that's a question. I think Shu can answer it too.
Okay. So read it again.
With your goals and ambitions, how are you improving while staying here? And by here, he means Colorado.
Right. I would say that my goal is to definitely be number 1 in Colorado, but also start taking sets off of people out of state. And to make sure that whenever I leave, it's better. Because last time I went to New Mexico, got like 13th or something stupid. We lost round 1 out of pools, and that was a rough time. So making sure that doesn't happen again. And in Colorado, for me, it's making sure that I do what I need to do. It's beating the people that I need to beat and making sure I choose the right options. And I think just in terms of the players here, you can work on a lot of different playstyles because there's a lot of different people. But it's still being able to go in and do what I need to do in a game-to-game basis and not lose.
I would say for me, like, I think experimenting with secondaries when you're at a point that I'm at is actually important.
Yeah.
I think being able to have the same good habits with secondaries that you do your main will make your main even better, because I think Diddy's obviously better than Mario or Captain Falcon, yet I play Captain Falcon and Mario a lot, even in tournament, just so I'm able to play and pick options with characters that have either worse neutrals or combo games than Diddy Kong and aren't as safe. So I find avenues to be more safe with characters that don't have that same benefit, so it increases me even more. And plus, I find different motivations when I go out of state. Like when I went out the first time, I was like, okay, I want to start winning with secondaries so I can really like make a gap between me and the rest of Colorado. And then the second time, I was like, okay, I want to make a gap, but I want to be able to win at least like even smaller weeklies with my secondaries. And then it was, okay, this time I was like, okay, secondaries are important and cool and all, but being able to eviscerate people with your main is important. So after DreamHack, I was like, I want to be able to just destroy people, like not really be a contest. But I find that kind of hard at the same time too, because there's something I always think about that people that are, let's say, trash or low, they're hard to JV3, and there's a reason for that. Their thought process isn't much of a thought process. So, like, let's say you're giving them every reason to shield. So you've already moved on to that next step. Like, they are going to shield, so I'm going to grab them, or something like that. Or they're going to run at me, so they're going to run at me and try to grab me, so I'm going to throw the banana. And then they do, like, the worst dash attack. But it worked. And in their mind, I think that's part of being a lower level player, is they think that's now a good option. When in reality, I respected them to the point where I didn't think they would do that option, but they did. So trying to destroy people with my Diddy is one thing, but creating bad habits where I read people in ways that wouldn't help me out of state is something else. So I think that's a good question, because I'm still trying to figure it out. And like I said, I don't think I've ever stopped improving. So
Yeah.
I think I'm doing something right. But it is tough to like jump a barrier. Like when I played Zero in Salem, I felt like I told Zixby that you can't get better in like a weekend, but I lied. I felt like I really did improve, like just in those games, like the understanding and like fast thinking was there, and just understanding the handicap that Zero is better at everything that I do. So understanding the avenues around that was helpful. Um, but yeah, it's hard to improve in state, especially where I am. But I don't think you should really focus on that. I think it's more of, for everyone else in Colorado, just get as far as you can with your main, do what you have to do, understand improving is slow, and that you can do it and that you will do it if you keep at it, and that you just need to find different avenues in order to get better.
And I would say for us, we're 1-2. So for surpassing it, I'm surpassing Bang, and Bang's just got to hold it. So for us, our goals are very different than 30 in the state. The 30, there's like, oh, there's another 29 people above you that you can look at and be like, okay, this is where I kind of want to get to.
I missed that.
I want to start getting better. Yeah, like I remember when I looked at the PR and I was like, I want to beat JFK.
It was like a hit list.
Yeah, you wanted to beat each one on the PR once. That was my goal, was to beat everybody on the PR once. And then eventually by doing that, I would have the confidence to say, okay, then I can beat anybody.
Like, I didn't even think of PR before. I was just like, I want to beat people.
I want to beat people. Yeah.
And then I was like, oh, in doing that, I am PR.
Yeah. Yeah, I didn't even really think about PR. Like, when I got 10, it was kind of a surprise the first time for me. I was like, oh, I slipped onto PR. Sweet. And then all of a sudden I realized, oh, that means people want to kick my ass now. Really? They're like, oh, you're PR, then you want to lose. And now you start getting rooted against on every set. The only time I get to be rooted for is when I play Bang. Yes. Every other time, though, they want me to lose. And so, I don't know. It's just, wherever you're at, look at the people around your level and say, okay, how am I going to elevate my above them?
Jason, I got a question.
Yes.
When we talk about like the whole trying to beat the people ahead of you, do you like, would you say you had that motivation in PM, because that's probably the game you were most into? Like, is it motivating to know that you have room?
I think that can only last for so long. If you have that motivation, but you don't know how to improve, I think that can really stop you, and that's kind of what stopped me. Is I was motivated to play and to get better, but I didn't really know how to get better or how to improve.
Did you ever explore like different avenues and like really like? Did you watch videos? Did you do all the things you thought were necessary, and you just didn't get the result you wanted like almost immediately?
That's tough because I didn't. I did not.
Were you discouraged that it wasn't like an immediate like gratification?
Yes, and that hits me in almost every game I play, and it's kind of what prevents me from getting better. Because it's like I want to beat people, but then it's just like I don't want to put in that effort to get better. So that's what's really holding me back in almost every fighting game. Plus, I play a lot of different fighting games, so that's also a factor. but I just have a bad habit of wanting to win but not wanting to put the effort
You want to win when you're playing them.
in. Mm-hmm.
That's kind of it.
The motivation ends there,
Yeah.
kind of
Yeah.
thing.
After the set, it's like, okay, well, you're motivated during the set, but there's
Well, I think even a little bit afterwards, you're kind of like salty, maybe.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, no, for me it was like I saw that list and I wanted it for a while, but there were times where you just didn't want to put in the work and you wouldn't see the results every once in a while. I don't know. When I started thinking about the game every day when I was working at Safeway and I'm pushing carts, and instead of like thinking about like, oh, what am I going to do at work? I'm like, all right, I'm pushing carts. Let's think about the game for an hour. And that's where I felt my improvement began. Just theory crafting. Wasn't even pressing buttons at that point. It was just how do I play this game? Why are they meeting me every week? So
Let's go ahead and get to this this last question because this is becoming a long video.
we've got
Or a
two.
long audio.
Video.
All right, ready?
Mhm.
This comes from someone who used to be a part of the scene and still kind of is, but they don't live here anymore. And it's a question we've been talking about basically the whole night. It says, it's from Walrus. Sorry. When training, what's the right split between physical practice or repetition in game versus mental practice, thinking through actions in the game? Essentially, theory versus application.
I love this one.
That's
I'm a
all
firm
you guys.
believer. I'm a firm believer in tournaments help you. Small weeklies. Like I would go to Boss Stage. I would go to what was it? I went to this Trade Smart tournament, which is the first tournament I won. I went to all the tournaments I could get my hands on. Mines. I went to what was it? Was the all C's tournament on Tuesdays. I would go.
Oh yeah.
I really think tournaments are really helpful. That's just because I had all the time in the world to think, and I would think. Like I would drive 45 minutes, and when I didn't win, all 45 minutes on the way back, I would think of why I lost, and like what avenues I would have to do in order to get better. So I think applying yourself allows you to think and have that mental fortitude going forward.
Okay, so I like Bang's thoughts on that in terms of
Yeah, you do.
going to tournaments is good. Now, if I had to actually like say where would you spend your time, I think at the beginning it's definitely physical. It's definitely playing the game and getting your button. But then as you start to understand the game and understand what your moves can do, I think that's where the gap between like the middle players where you start to see people do better or worse is the people in the middle probably have their buttons pretty solid. They at least know what they want to do. Now it's theorizing, theory crafting, figuring out how you want to implement the buttons that you know. And I think that's where the separation begins. So I think to start, it's definitely good just to have a solid fundamental, play style where you can press the buttons you need to. But then as you get better, it's which moves are more important as you're getting through. So, and I think that's where tournaments come in, is you start putting those application pieces into play. You have to, or you will lose your sets. So, I think definitely at the middle level where Colorado is, tournaments are where you get to put those pieces together and fit them in different ways.
But I have been paying attention, and where I've seen gradual improvement, I think a lot of you can improve a lot faster. And I think, like I said, everyone learns differently. And just because me and Shu learn from tournaments, doesn't mean you will, or at least maybe you won't grasp it as quickly. But videos, watch videos.
Yes.
Watching other people and being like, why can't I do that? Or why are they good at this and I'm not? And then just matching that.
Yeah. I mean, for a while, I would say that I didn't ledge trump with ZSS for a while for whatever reason. It just wasn't a thought process. And then I'm watching like Mars ledge trump back air over and over. And I'm like, it's so easy to do. Why don't I just do it? And then I added it to my gameplay. And now it's become a bait where do I ledge trump? And if not, then what do I do next? So that's where it starts to, you have to realize what your options are. And watching videos gets you a lot of different options.
All right, well,
All right.
kind of all the questions we got. If you guys do have other questions, feel free to hit me up on Facebook Messenger or even Twitter or any of these guys too.
Yeah.
Thank you to Jay-Shun, obviously. I was hoping he would talk a little bit more, but I'm a blabbermouth. Shu followed suit.
I mean, I don't have as much information to offer as you guys because you guys are number 1 and 2 in Colorado, and you've been playing the game a lot longer than I have.
I think your mindset's important though, or just like
Mhm.
your point of view. I think it helps. But yeah, you guys got anything to say?
Nope. I think that's
Think when you play. That's all.
Mr. Schumann coming in. So yeah, if you guys like this, just ask us if you want us to do more. If you don't, then tell us to screw off. But we're just trying to help. So if you want us to go in a certain direction, let us know. If not, well, it's been real. Peace.
All right. That concludes the first part.
Part number 1.
Part number 1.